Cool. Give me a sec. The $100 league is our most expensive league, which turns it into one of the most important because everybody is trying to win cash. Honestly, these 12 guys absolutely know basketball, and I'm excited to get stuck into it. Flanders, it's a real draft. There's real money on the
It,
line, and it turns into one of the most exciting days of the year, doesn't it?
it does. Yeah, we're here. We're talking big money. Talking $100 buy-in here, mate. This is not for the faint of hearted. And yeah, I think it's definitely second on the calendar to the Insight Creators Cup. So yeah, it's one good to be a part of.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty excited. Um, I was having a look. We did the draft order a little bit earlier, and we were actually up against each other a fair bit. We are seventh and eighth picks in this one, and honestly, it's just all fans in this one. You won't know too many of the other guys in there. You might know them by the end of it, once they draft a really good team and you're in their DMs asking for advice. But yeah, just a big league, and yeah, we've been put right beside each other. So yeah, I hope we choose different builds, mate.
I really hope we do, and we don't do a Brano and I, because he and I seem to love picking the same build and sniping each other. And at 7 and 8, mate, I hope we can build something different, because it'll just be a boring one if we build the same. So let's get a bit wild with it.
Yeah, we have it starting in 2.5 minutes. Mate, this is. I think this is my last draft of about 8. Oh, I've got a rookie draft in a dynasty to go tomorrow. But mate, it's been a pretty big preseason. We've done about 10 weeks of this. Who are the guys that you find that you've been taking in most drafts? Like probably you're my guys. Even accidentally, which I've accidentally made some my guys this year.
Yeah, I've accidentally fallen into Brandon Ingram. I think a few of us have as well. I've ended up with him in he fits a lot of builds. Mark Williams in certain formats, I've ended up with him a few times. And Tyrese Maxey is a second round pick for me. Just seems to end up landing in the pocket for me. I've been back of the 12 teams a bit. So sort of 10, 11, 12. And I've ended up with Tyrese a few times. So yeah, they're probably one of the my guys that I didn't think would be a my guy. How about you?
I've kind of ended up with Jalen Johnson again. Brandon Ingram was one of them, and Johnny Collins. Um,
Yeah.
I know that like on a lot of pre-draft rankings, which he was like 50th, 60th, and I went and moved him to like 100. But it feels like to me that people were overlooking him a little bit, because even in his worst season, I think he's still a top 100 player. So yeah, John Collins is one that always seems to slide to me. So maybe this is the one draft I don't get him, but again, it fits most builds. I'd be genuinely pretty happy to get John Collins in an extra draft. Of course, we're using presenters mode, so in the background, I'm just starting to work my queue in the background. I haven't look. I know that it says ADP for Giannis at 6.2, but I actually haven't been in a draft where I've seen him fall that far.
Yeah, no, not neither. I've seen him pretty much top 4 every time. I'm not a big Giannis guy, but yeah, I could see somebody still taking him that high, and I don't blame him either. But if you want to share your screen, mate, I think we are off to the races.
Yeah, give me a sec. You've got it all.
Oh,
You've got it all happening there, and we see the
we
first
are
pick
hot.
as Victor Wembanyama. That's the second time I've seen that happen so far. So we've got Victor Wembanyama into Nikola Jokic. Mate, is there a world where you'd ever take Wemby before Jokic?
For me, no. I'd prefer to go the sort of more even build with pick one if I could, and if I got to shape a punt, I'll shape it in rounds 2 or 3. But I've seen it happen like this. I think Kingy took him the other night as well at pick one. So it's not like it's an uncommon thing to do. It's not my pick, but it seems to be a pick that a few others are making.
Yeah, I could do it. Both these guys, I don't really think that there's too big of a punt build anywhere. Um, so yeah, I'm completely fine with both of those. And in every other draft I've seen Shea and Luca go 3 and 4. On a few occasions, seen Luca go at 3, but most of the time I've seen Shea go in there at 3, and I'd be completely fine with either. We see Luca
Ooh.
go today at 3, which I would expect leave Shea at 4. It's going to be the 5th and the 6th picks that really start to make us think about our picks, isn't it? Because that
Yeah.
was the top 4 we expected. 5, to
Yep.
be honest,
Top
with
4,
Giannis
5.
going at
Giannis
5.
goes as well. Be interesting to see who goes here. 6 has been a bit of a weird pick. You've seen a few different guys go here. We could see an AD go, Cade Cunningham go. Someone takes a shot at, say, an Ant Edwards as well. We see Anthony Davis go. So
Far out. He was probably the guy I wanted the most. Honestly, most of the guys in this area I haven't been able to take. But yeah, look, I'm gonna go Cade Cunningham for the first time this year, probably the last. And yeah, I'm pretty excited with Cade there. Has a relatively good field goal percentage for a guard, 0.46. Rebounds well, scores well, hits threes, has a good free throw percentage. There's not much I don't see from Cade. And mate, who'd you take with the 8th pick in this
yeah,
draft? Talk
I
us
went
through it.
Trey Young. I was actually talking to you off air before this. I did want to go for a bit of a different build to you. I'm hoping we can sort of formulate a bit of a different plan here without colluding with each other here. But yeah, I'm going to hopefully build something a bit different. I've done point punt field goal percentage and punt turnover a fair bit. I don't think I'm going to be able to save Trey's percentages here, but we'll see what we can do. I haven't actually drafted from the 8th spot, so some different guys will end up to me coming both ways.
Yeah, and Trey, to be fair, at certain points has been sitting in there at 7 on my draft board, over Cade. Probably just a little bit less well-rounded game, but I do believe in the Trey bump this year. So yeah, really like that from you. Pretty common to see Anthony Edwards into James Harden, and then we've got Devin Booker and Steph Curry. We see Steph Curry from Whisperer paired with Demarcus Sabonis. And I know Tyrese Maxey's been a bit of a my guy for you, mate, but he will not be in your team in this draft, going at the 14th pick there, mate.
Yeah. It seems to be about where he goes, and I paired him last night with D Book actually in the creators one. So good to see some things you just can't break apart here.
I'll give you a sec to take your pick, and as we see
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns into Kevin Durant, and explain Donovan Mitchell while I find
Donovan,
a guy to take.
yeah, Donovan Mitchell, shooting guard eligible, so good to get him there as well. I think we know Darius Garland. He's shown a bit of a point role that he's had earlier in the year, so some assist bump earlier in the year will be quite nice out of him. I see a lot of upside here, and it's good to get the sort of point and shooting guards out of the way. And now I can sort of focus on the forwards and the center spot come through rounds 3, 4, 5 to hopefully fill out a team, because I've noticed doing this build many times, it does get pretty thin late on unless you're a big Brook Lopez guy to try find a center that fits the build really well.
Yeah, true, true. Sorry, mate. I am having a little bit of trouble deciding, but I have decided on Evan Mobley. Again, for not the first time this year. He, while not a my guy, I do expect him to take that big leap this year. I'm not a huge Jarrett Allen fan. I think that he does a lot of cardio and a lot of things right from a team standpoint, but doesn't do a lot from a basketball standpoint. And much like Dono, you see Darius Garland miss some time. Whereas I don't really believe In Lonzo, I like Hunter because he'll be playing a lot of minutes out on the floor. But really, I think it'll be up to Mobley and Dono, and it's really interesting to see two Cleveland Cavaliers go back to
It
back.
is.
Yeah,
And then after
that,
that's, I think, pretty self-explanatory and with AD. But then the LaMelo pairing with Giannis, you're sort of maybe trying to sort of fix his free throw percentage with a bit of LaMelo there. But you do cop that at the cost of your field goal percentage, which is one of Giannis's biggest stats there. On the good side, though, you've punted turnovers to the abyss, so they're never coming back now.
yeah. Armin Thompson was probably the guy that I tossed up the most with this build, but I just obviously I was seeing who fell to me, but I'm just not. I think a lot of what Cade does well is what Armin struggles with. So yeah, I just had to put my basketball head on rather than my heart on my sleeve, and yeah, go Mobley, which I think is a better fit in there. We see Jalen Johnson paired with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Again, no real issues there. And we've got Luka and Bam and Alperen Şengün and Nikola Jokic, two really big centers that can pass the ball. They can pass the ball really well. It is a one center league, but we've got three utilities in this one. So yeah, definitely viable to run a couple of centers into the ground, and four centers in the first couple rounds. And honestly, if you count Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns, there's been a lot of big guys taken early in this one.
Yeah, there's been the big men have gone off the board. I'm pretty happy because none of them really suit my build, which is actually quite nice. Yeah, Cat wouldn't have fit it. Bam, Sengun, probably not the guys I'm on. I think it's pretty well publicized throughout many debates we've had on this channel. I'm not a Sengun guy. I'll let pretty much everybody else take him before I look at him. But I will say his preseason has looked absolutely lovely for anyone that's buying stocks into that. But a double center, first two picks, I suppose it gets it out of the way if you want to look at it that way. But it does leave you pretty thin. You can't reach for too many others later on.
Yeah, I mean, you get centers out of the way and let some other guys fall. We see Josh Giddey probably go lower than I've seen him go in most drafts as a bit of a steal, and Derek White, somebody that I kind of expected might have made his way back out to me. Look fresh out of my queue. So yeah, so we've got a couple point guards there with Victor Wembanyama, and yeah, honestly, I can't see too many real deficiencies in this draft. LaMelo Ball is someone that I can see taking the honestly late in the third or early in the second, and all of them seems like a good pick. It's just rolling the dice, or maybe even being Australian, maybe even playing the pokies just to see what happens with LaMelo Ball, because whether he yeah, it's all going to be tied to health. It's nothing to do with skill when it comes to Melo there.
Yeah, I think probably the only one that stands out to me is Bam going at the 210 pistol there. He's a big Bam guy, so that there is a passion project for him. But again, none of this really seems too far reachy. A bit high for my liking, but I can't really say it's a dumb pick either. I could see the value being there too. So
yeah,
interesting to see what sort of comes through here, mate. Where are you thinking of going? I can't really snipe you, mate. So
yeah, you can't. It's live, so yeah, I'm starting to see guys like Jamal Murray, Pascal Siakam, Chet Holmgren, and the news around Jaren Jackson Jr. has me pretty interested in taking him in the third, being a big Memphis guy. If I missed out on him, I wouldn't be too worried, because yeah, there is of course always the chance he comes back to me.
we shouldn't talk on live podcasts, mate. There we go, straight off the board. So that's what happens when you do these things live.
Yeah, that's fine. The things you do for a few extra clicks, hey. But
Exactly.
look, being the $100 league, I like to think being a podcaster, I could probably pivot a little bit, but no, a really good pick there, and probably a relatively good fit with his team. Scotty Barnes is one that I've toyed with taking in a lot of drafts.
Yep.
We see him go the pick before Jaren Jackson Jr. Just that field goal percentage is borderline putrid, so you really have to lean into that punt field goal percentage. But Paolo Banchero in a points league, as we see my draft just get further and further, the queue just disappeared. You have a bit of a chat while I make my decision.
Yeah. Yeah, so we obviously seen big skinny Zion go after that there. Zion's ADP has fluctuated a fair bit after everything that went early on, and then what happened with him coming out skinny. He moved around a whole lot on people's boards, so interesting to see where the value is there. What do you feel the true value is for him, mate?
I think that this is exceptional value where he is. On my draft board, I've got him in the mid-20s. And of course, if you've got a draft this weekend, you can pick up our draft board in the description below. Just $9.95 a month. And to be completely honest, you can just sign up for the month if you want the draft board, and get into the WhatsApp chat. Ask for our advice. But I do think that sort of mid-20s. So there's a fair bit of value in Zion. I wasn't completely maybe truthful with the crew on. I did have Zion in my queue as well. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with Jamal Murray there. I think that he's just been going from strength to strength. I think with my current build, maybe punting that turnovers, he could easily be a top 20 guy for me. But mate, straight after me, you took Pascal Siakam, somebody I've been really high on, somebody that I think is going to get the usage a lot more than Andrew Nembhard. We've seen his assists without Hallie go up to 5.4. Is that sort of point forward that you're looking for in Siakam, or just extra usage and just see how he can cook?
Yeah, a bit of the extra usage for me. It's very much for me going to be a punt field goal percentage option here. Trades is pretty putrid. Donos isn't much better. And getting him, he was actually in my queue last night when we were doing the creators one. So having a look at where getting him this draft and getting those locked away was a pretty key thing for me there. He's actually center eligible as well. So I've actually got a center that's sort of probably going to sit 500 or less from the field on reasonable free throw percentage. I'll take that every day of the week. You'll get me some boards. I'm all in all pretty happy with that. And you'll get me some good assists. Like I've got Trey as well. Can't forget that.
Yeah, no, you're going to get plenty of assists, and those out of position assists. I would imagine he will lead his team in assists from that power forward spot, which is always nice. Something that you only really see from some really elite power forward stretch fives in the league, and probably your Bron and blokes like that. We see Jalen Brunson go. We see Austin Reeves go. We see Kristaps Porzingis. You start to see the sort of build that Goldie's Guns is going for there. That field goal percentage is absolutely cooked. You do get some counting stats with Kristaps, and he's definitely not worried about turnovers there. Chet Holmgren and De'Aaron Fox in there at the end. Even with De'Aaron Fox injured, he's a guy that we probably would have seen go a full round earlier if he wasn't injured. So I think Wispy's got a bit of value there, mate.
Yeah, I think you're pretty well bang on to something there, mate. He's building a nice team. He's filling out a lot of positions. He's not got a lot of positional reliance where he's sort of stacked at one position and then has to reach for somebody else. So, yeah, I think he's pretty happy building what he's building over there. I'll hand over to you while I work on where I'm going here.
Yeah, I know that you've been I see my queue emptied with Trey Murphy, Jalen Williams, and Cooper Flagg there. I imagine you're going to take somebody like Jaylen Brown as well there, which empties it a little bit. I think he fits. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to give you advice. You do you, bro.
No.
Cooper Flagg's in a really good spot there. I've seen him go in the third round as well. Of course, we've seen him absolutely ball out in in the preseason, and yeah, that's one of the latest I've seen Jalen Williams and Trey Murphy go in the fourth. But talk us through Brandon Miller, mate.
Yeah, I'm ironically I have LaMelo in about 3 other leagues, but I'm not sold on the health, and I think the second the health goes, they're gonna lean on Brandon Miller, the top 3 pick previously. He's, a huge guy for them. I think he's gonna be the guy that they lean on. The power forward eligibility there with some high three-point make upside for me. It sort of helps lean on the three-point makes for me, and to have that at the power forward position is probably where I intend to have him. It gives me the flexibility to look at shooting guard, small forwards a bit now, and know that I've locked down those big spots pretty early.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I like the logic there, man. I fully expected you to take Jalen, though. I was obviously speaking out of turn a little bit. But I've went
It
with
was a tough
Jimmy
pass.
Butler. Yeah, Jalen Brown doesn't really fit my build in this one. And Jimmy Butler, I saw him play. Oh, as happy as Big Face Coffee could ever be in Golden State. He's there with a few of the older guys, a few guys that are his age. They will be looking to compete for a championship again. At many times throughout the year, because they just believe that they can make the postseason and then make some noise in the playoffs, which is spot on. Jimmy Butler is kind of the number one guy in this Golden State Warriors lineup, because Steph does miss a bit of time. Steph is one of the older players in the league, and yeah, Jimmy Butler has absolutely cooked since being there in Golden State. Doesn't really ruin you anywhere. Doesn't really take dumb shots. Shoots at about 50% from the field, which is good for a small forward. Whether I decide to play him at small forward or power forward. Pretty
You're also
pretty happy with Jimmy, to be honest.
Yeah, you're also sneaking in a few sneaky steals there as well. Jamal can sort of stumble his way into a few. Mobley obviously great for the defense. Cade stumbles his way into a few, and Jimmy is one of those surprising guys that you wouldn't think of for it, but can get himself in some nice defensive spots to get some counting stats there. So it's not one of those things you probably were chasing out of it, but you've got him pretty well there. Nothing huge, but
Yeah,
still not enough.
I think I've got a few steals from nearly every player that I've got there. You bang on there, but yeah, again, wasn't really doing it on purpose. Just sort of taking the best guys for the other builds. But yeah, it's hard with those extra counting stats. I think that you can really, if you're chasing steals and chasing blocks, because they're such a volatile stat to get, you can really hamper your other spots. You nearly do want that style of guy that can do a little bit of everything, and so that you don't cook yourself. See Walker Kessler go in there as well,
Very early.
followed by
But he fits the build, but very early.
yeah, he is building to a build like to be honest, probably got Zion Williamson at value, Armin Thompson at value, Anthony Davis at value, and then yeah, now that he's got his build, he's reaching for his guys. And again, when you have a look at maybe a couple centers going off, maybe he wouldn't have made it back to him. But we see Denny
Yeah.
Avdia, Miles Turner, Desmond Bain, Jalen Brown, and Kawhi Leonard. Take us through the next couple while I select my next pick.
So we had then Ja Morant go after that there. We had Franz Wagner. He makes his way off the board, followed by Larry Markin. And so back-to-back small forward, power forwards there. Very, very similar guys, both straight out of my queue. Credit to the boys there. Some interesting sort of builds being built there. Lowry's obviously big contract in Utah are probably going to give him some minutes, at least for the moment. What happens later on in the season? Do they start to manage minutes with him? Who knows? And Franz Wagner is out there in a stacked Orlando. So I still think his usage will be quite high, but it'll be interesting to see where that realistically does end up. We get a nice run of small forwards here. OG Anunoby goes off the board as well. Miles Bridges not far after that there, followed by Asar Thompson. So we've got the Thompson twins paired up. That is 5 small forward guys back to back to back to back to back. That is a big old run we've seen. That'd be we'd be looking at 12 go off the board in the last round and a half. So a big small forward run there. Suppose if you need one, you got to get in and buy one. Matrix and I have got in and bought them, but if anyone else is missing one, you probably should buy.
Yeah, I'm finding myself a little bit between a rock and a hard place a little bit here. When I start to see that run, a lot of my queue was getting emptied, but I've got somebody in mind here that I'm gonna grab with 10 seconds on the clock. I used honestly nearly every single second of that. Kobe White isn't a guy that I have taken in a in a lot of leagues, but he just really fits my build here. His ADP has been dropping into about this range. I know that there was talk of him, getting picked in the top 50, but it does still kind of look with the preseason to be Josh Giddey's team, which is probably why he is skyrocketed and Kobe White hasn't. But he's just going to do everything I need at this point of the draft. To be completely honest, I
Yeah.
really I like Osar Thompson and OG Anunoby and some of those guys in drafts. I do wonder if being in the 50s is probably a little bit early for some of
Yeah.
those guys. Look, people might, be in my DM straight afterwards and say I took Kobe White too early. So it's a kettle calling the pot black. But I do just think that yeah, some of those guys, you're sort of picking them at their ceiling rather than their floor. Whereas I think Kobe White probably the 58th best player, and he might be the 70th, but might be the 50th really. Tyler Hero, mate. Obviously, you believe the Atlanta commentators.
I believe them enough, at least. I believe if he's not going to miss, he's probably not going to miss that much basketball. I'm getting him in the 5th. He probably wasn't going to come back around to me. I didn't feel into the 6th, so I wanted to reach for my guy there, and I feel I'm stacked pretty well with some good assist guys as well. Hero's not a big assist guy, but he's going to be a big enough assist guy for me. So sort of padding those assists, getting some good points, getting some good usage out there as well. I don't think the injury is really going to be a big enough problem for me to just stress about taking him maybe 8 picks higher than I could have. My guys, and I'm probably going to look at anyway, are probably going to slide to this one anyway. So far, they have. I wasn't interested in anything else that went after.
That's fair, man. I'll get to it in a second, but we see Zubac, Vucevic, Jordan Poole, and then I just find myself I'm quite polarized by Whisper in this draft. I feel like he had a couple safe picks at the start, took an injured De'Aaron Fox, took an injured LeBron James, and then an injured Joel Embiid. I might just hop on the phone and let him know that this doesn't have 5 IL plus spots, because yeah, he doesn't. He obviously doesn't know that yet. But no, we've got Mark Williams into Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard, this is about the range that I'm interested in him. Would have fit okay with me earlier, but taking Peyton Pritchard in the 50s, I honestly couldn't look myself in the mirror and be happy with what I see, to be completely honest. We see Jalen Duran go off the board. Yeah, Hank's taken a couple of centers in a row. And yeah, it's a round to your pick, but yeah, Jordan Poole, he's been an interesting one. He's looked really good in the preseason, despite flopping at times in the last couple of years, and honestly since leaving Golden State. Mark Williams in the 60s. I know he's got that top 40 upside, so yeah, just obviously really high on him. And yeah, mate, talk us through Zach LaVine.
Yeah, it's probably the one that fits the build best there. That there's some other guys that I think are a bit deeper that will make their way around to me. Probably keeping my eye on the board about sort of who's got what coming through, who's probably likely to take centers. So being aware of sort of what's to the left of the board as we're looking at it here, and sort of what builds are going on either side. I don't really have a build to the left-hand side that's too similar to mine. Everyone else, they're sort of building different builds to me. There's a defense build over there. We've sort of got just a few other builds that are just not as relevant to me. There's a couple of defense builds hanging on out there, so I'm not too stressed about what's going there. The guys on the right hand side, more so the D book, so Giddy's guns, and potentially Whisper as well, are probably more the guys I'm concerned of poaching my guys. And I'm actually concerned of the short turn, not the long turn. We want to refer to it that way. So
Yeah, mate. I get it, and yeah, obviously a pretty deep run of centers in the last 10 picks. As we start to see the last, Nick Claxton's probably the last guy of the I'm gonna say good centers left after this. I know I've probably started this other little mini run with Jakob Pertl.
yep, yeah, we still got iHawk still sitting on the board. Klingon's still out there actually too, which is quite interesting. So again, a few sort of build specific guys there, but yeah, I think after that you're probably into Claxton, and then there's not a whole lot more going on after that.
Yeah, you're taking your Nas Reeds and they're sort of specific build kind of guys right there at the end. But yeah, look, we see Jakob Pertl go into Rudy Gobert. Both of us missed out on Brandon Ingram in this one. That's a surprise. But
Yeah, the my guy that we did, my guy. That's quite
yeah,
funny,
yeah.
isn't it?
But I was taking him in the 80s. But it's interesting on a podcast. Yeah, he gets mentioned and yeah, gets put in the forefront. He really doesn't ruin you anywhere. Like he's not like an RJ Barrett on that team that really does ruin you in certain categories and statistical. Honestly,
Yeah.
like RJ can ruin you. But yeah,
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram doesn't really hurt you anywhere. We see
No.
Aiton and Allen go. What do you think of those last couple picks, mate?
Yeah, I'm probably thinking Aiton's probably more of a seventh round guy for me. Getting him sort of late 80s. He's been really hit and miss over the preseason. Be interesting to see how that shapes out. Obviously, everyone was really high on him earlier in the year. When we sort of seen him make the move over to Los Angeles, preseason was underwhelming, so he slid back down some boards. I honestly don't know where to value him, and I'm sort of glad none of my builds are living around this guy because I'm so glad I don't have to try pick where I want to take him because I honestly don't know what I'm gonna get out of him.
Yeah, that's fair, man. After
So
that,
Jared
we have
Allen,
seen
Julius Randle.
yeah, yeah, and then Matas Buzelis is a real interesting one. I love him, and of course we've been talking about Supercoach, and he's absolutely balled out. But I do wonder if this is kind of taking him at his ceiling. Like I'm not sure he's a top 50 guy, but Buzelis
Mm,
has been great. And if you're taking your guy, you're taking your guy. I do really like that team better than Lego. I think it's called
yep,
with Cam Thomas and Buzelis there. Obviously, Cam Thomas will he'll get shots.
he will. He will. Your boy Storm and Norman goes off the board as well. So yeah, I'll know you're about to pick mates. I'll let you prep for that. So we had Cam Thomas go at the turn there at the 7-1. Darius Garland finally went off the board there at the 7-2. Anthony Simons went a bit higher than I think most people expect him to at the 7-3. MPJ goes at the 7-4. Storm and Norman at the 7-5. And Andrew Nemhard, probably later than I think a lot of people take him, but the 7-6, his values really fluctuated over this draft season. Some have taken him early, some have taken him later. I've seen him go in the 6, which I think is a very big reach. I've seen him go in the 8, but I think 7th's where about most people feel that he is at, and I'm pretty comfortable with that sort of value there. Some good option there for Mythical Magic.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah, just
am.
building through that. Nothing too crazy that I've seen there. Pretty much Anthony Simons may be a bit high for my liking. And yeah, Storm and Norman's probably the underrated guy out in Miami there. Talk to me about
Yeah,
Donovan Clingan there, mate.
yeah. I've just went double centers. I don't really like any of the other late centers except Brook Lopez. Honestly, with my last pick, and that'll allow me to swing for the fences. I've not accidentally, I've led into a little bit maybe of a point free throw percentage build in this one as well. Not really on purpose, but there's probably just not a lot of threes, a lot of free throw percentage. There's a fair few turnovers. So yeah, I've kind of accidentally, not accidentally, I've lent into the punt by taking blokes like that. So yeah, starting to get a few centers on the board, which which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most centers have now gone off the board. The next one sitting in the rankings here, Ihawk, and then after that, then you're seeing after that we're talking Saar, Lively, Okongwu, Nazi Reed, Kalel Ware. There's that little sort of late '90s run that you typically get. So,
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
we had
What was your pick, mate?
yeah. I went with IQ. I took Emmanuel quickly, getting the threes, getting some assists there as well. So yeah, really leaning into the punt field goal and probably punt a bit of turnovers there as well, but leaning quite heavily into the assists 3-point make. And probably a little bit of points, not as much out of him. We know there's a lot that goes on in Toronto across their starters. So yeah, just probably filling out a little bit guard heavy. I've gone 3-point guards back to back. So we may have to look at going more forward at this point here. But I've still got options. So I'm pretty comfortable with where most things are building.
Yeah, we've kind of all those centers have kind of gone, so you will probably start to look at those forwards, and we've actually seen the starting five for the Raptors all taken now. We've got DeMar DeRozan, Onyeka Okongwu, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Green, and Paul George taken, just in case LeBron James, De'Aaron Fox, Joel Embiid, and injured Jalen Green wasn't enough. He's taken Paul George after a knee scrape. So that's interesting from him there. We've got Tari Eason into Alex Sarr into Shaden Sharp. Alex Sarr fits a particular build there for Mr. Pacey, and look, Shaden Sharp has been rocketing up boards in there at 89.
Straight out of my queue there. So
which is, I can actually hear the sweat from the other end of the line here, mate, as you decide. So I'll give you a second, but there's some really nice squads. I think when you start to get into a $100 league, there's not too many people that don't know what they're doing, because otherwise you're just really throwing away money at this point. But mate, talk us through Mr. Aldama.
Yeah, he probably doesn't help my free throw percentage, but I sort of had to. You got to give a bit to get a bit. Gets me a few boards. You get me a few assists. High 3-point make. Power forward, center eligible. Obviously I have Pascal Siakam, but at least now I know at worst I've got 2 center eligible guys sitting on my squad now. I don't have to take Brook Lopez because I've got him in feels like every other league. I don't really feel like taking him in another one. If he goes down, my whole season goes down with him. So I don't really want to take that again. So now I've got that covered off. I can look probably for the more typical power forwards, small forwards, something through there to fill out the forward spots that I need. And then I'm just into some utilities and some bench players. So.
I'm with you there. I've just took Christian Brown. Honestly, not the most sexy of picks, but has always really shot above 50%. With Cam Johnson there, we might see his points elevated a little bit, but still gets 5 rebounds, still gets 3 assists, still gets a steal. Honestly, very safe. Kind of like having Vegemite on toast for breakfast there with Christian Brown. Mate, take us through the next couple picks if you could.
Yeah, we had Josh Hart go. He is one who has slid down boards like he is on a slip and slide. He has gone down, down, and down. So yeah, good to see him probably go where his true value is closer to now. I think we're expecting him to be part of the 6-man unit. Tamani Kamara, he's gone there. A lot of people are really, really high on him out there in Portland. And then probably the 6-man of Miami that we're expecting to see, and I think we're all pretty happy to see him as a 6-man, is going to be Kalel Ware. I think that's a really good pick there. I think he's still getting upside out of him. With probably a limited downside, we've seen what he did in the back half of last year, given some true opportunity. He's really proven himself. He hit it was like 3, 4, or maybe even 5 threes in a preseason game. He went off, dropped 25 points, and yeah, he's been great this preseason. But I think he'll end up with that sixth man role.
I was so close to taking Kalel Ware. I just think that Christian Brown was maybe a little bit safer. In a lot of ways, he was the guy that I was hoping to come around back to me. But Yahoo Plus is really pumping up Kalel Ware's tires. I noticed that it suggested, not that I'm using it for I've got my own rankings, but I did notice that it's been suggesting it at me for about the last 3 rounds. So I wish it could have been really quiet about that, so that maybe I could have got him in the hundreds. But we've seen Isaiah Hartenstein and Cam Johnson again. Cam Johnson out of my queue. Isaiah Hartenstein, that's probably the lowest I've seen him go in drafts. Any reason for that in particular, or just the fact that it's not a particular sexy pick, mate?
Yeah, not really a particularly sexy pick. He doesn't hit threes, so you sort of need to be punting threes or have him covered off elsewhere. Pistol he's got a bit of everything going on there. He's going to have plenty of threes going on, so probably copping a bit of a hit's not the worst thing for him. But iHearts, it's what you know what you're going to get out of this guy here. I don't think the return of Chet last year sort of impacted him too hard. I think we're all pretty happy with you know what you're going to get with iHeart.
Yeah, again, like really safe, and if you're looking for safety in and around that 100 range, he's there, and did get a little bit injured at certain times, but generally, I think that he's relatively healthy. We have seen Reed Shepherd look at on my bingo card at the start of the year. I would not have had Reed Shepherd as somebody that I expected to be taken in the 8th or probably drafted at all after averaging 12 minutes per game. But it's just once you start to take Fred VanVleet injured out of that lineup, they really don't have too many other choices, especially with the no trade clause when it comes to Freddie. Hey, mate.
Yeah, you sort of arms twisted into that one there, and yeah, you've got to do what you got to do there. And yeah, I think when availability arrives, you sort of got to take it with both hands, and that's what we do here in fantasy. And there's a reason waiver wire pickups exist, and they are known for winning your leagues. You can lose, you can win it on draft night, you can lose it, but a lot of times the waiver wire picks throughout the year are what's going to make it, and that's because there is changes and shifts throughout the year.
Mate, I'll let you.
Um,
I'll let you have a think about your pick. We've just seen after Reed Shepherd, we've seen CJ McCollum again, extremely safe in there, in and around that 100 range. Benedict Mathurin, again, another guy he's never shied away from a shot, but he will be relied upon a little bit more for scoring. And he's somebody that I've always seen get benched after he's missed a couple. But now with losing Miles Turner and losing Tyrese Halliburton, they might not have that luxury in Indiana anymore to bench him just when he's not cooking. We see Andrew Wiggins go. We see Bradley Beal go, very similar to CJ McCollum in his game. He's never had a season outside of the top 110, and you're taking him into the hundreds. So, yeah, seems like value. Nick Claxton into Draymond Green. And death taxes and me taking John Collins. I really let him go past me with Kalel Ware in the last one. But I can't see how he's going to be worse than where I just took him at 105. So, yeah, of course, we've seen the upside. We've seen him have top 50 seasons. We might have to start to see a couple of Clippers go down to see him go up there with a top 50 or something like that. But like, surely he's top 80 at the end of this year. I think people are just overlooking him a bit because it's disappointing to see a role diminish a little bit. But he's still a very reliable player that they're playing. I think it was a 5-year, $130 million contract. Of course, we're getting closer to the end of that, but it's a decent contract. They're paying him a lot of money. They're going to use him. But talk us through Devin Vassell, mate.
Yeah, shooting guard, small forward, so he covers off on the forward side of things that I wanted there. I've got a few forwards, but I wouldn't mind a few more living in the small forward side of things. A couple of point guard, shooting guards, a couple of power forward centers. So just it's sort of a fits the need. There was other guys I liked a bit more, but I needed the position there to make sure that it opens up those reaches and my guys come into the deep hundreds, sort of through 130, 140, 150. So sort of probably not the guy I wanted, but he's the guy that's going to fit best to open up the back end of my draft for me.
Yeah, sounds good. And I'll let you have a little bit of a think because your pick is coming back again. We see Derek Lively. We expect to see him, start when healthy in Dallas because we know that Anthony Davis loves to play the 4. We've got Cason Wallace, we've got Jalen Suggs, we've got Naz Reid, the injured Keegan Murray, just to add that to Whisperer's broken team. We've got Drew Holiday, Tobias Harris. We've got Nikola Jovic, which I really like it. And mate, as we said earlier, you do need a punt build for RJ Barrett, and I think you've got one there.
I do. He doesn't really fit my punt. Like I'm not punting free throw percentage. That's something that I'm pretty all right across most other parts of. Most other guys will help cover that for me. But for me, the main thing there is he's going to hit plenty of threes there. He's going to fill some stats across the counting side of things for me there. And I picked him up at 113, I think, for what he's going to put up for me on a counting stats side of things. I'm happy to get that value at 113. And at worst, he's going to give me something that I could trade off later on in the year if I do find he's hurting me too much.
No, I'm with you there.
You went with the guy that
I'm
tossing up.
Mate, my cue was Kevin Porter Jr., Herb Jones, and another gentleman that I'll mention. I felt I needed a point guard. After taking a couple early, I've kind of went away from that, and maybe I just don't have faith in Keontae George, or probably more faith in Utah, because I think if Kevin Porter Jr. is out on the floor, good things will happen for Milwaukee. And honestly, just by being out on the floor, I know a lot of people don't like Kevin Porter Jr. because of his off-court. Sorry, we're not talking NRL and NFL. Off-court indiscretions. But I'm gonna definitely overlook that. I think he's a really good basketball player, whereas that is super fantasy friendly. When I saw him get, 6 assists and 8 rebounds the other night, I'm like, mate, that is a guy that once we get past 100, completely fine to get. And somebody that I'm loading up in for Supercoach again for those listening that are playing that format. We headed into Herb Jones, another one I was really interested in. I really like Herb. I think the Pelicans are a really interesting team this year that could show growth. Just being younger, growing. I think a lot of it will come from the Jordan Poole fit. But Herb Jones has been a really good option once you get past 100. And look, we're getting close to 120 at this stage. Keontae George into Dante DiVincenzo, into Naismith, into D'Lo, mate. Anything in the pick since Kevin Porter that you've liked or disliked?
I'm a big Keontae George sort of guy. I like the breakout last year. I think he probably gets the role over Isaiah Collier if that's the decision they make and choose not to run both of them. I think if anyone's going to have the more minutes, I think it is going to be a Keontae George. I think D'Lo offers some good value where he's at. He's probably only going to be good value till Kyrie comes back. Under the assumption Kyrie does come back. He's obviously been back in the gym. We've seen some footage of that there. But I think you're going to get a nice, good run out of a guy that you picked at the late 110s. Like that's just great value and great buying.
Yeah, panic stations were hit a little bit on D'Lo with Cooper Flagg starting at point guard in the last game, but yeah, mate, like I think that he is the best or the only real point guard on their team. I don't consider Dante or anyone like that a point guard. Completely fine with having a swing at D'Lo here. We've headed into Zach Edey and Jaden Ivey, the other guy that I had on my queue. So I'm going to start loading up that queue a little bit. We see Pods and we see Semi Hauser. And yeah, mate, just give us a second and I'll look into that.
Yeah, no, that's easy. Yeah, Jaden Ivey. So Zach Eady at the turn there, obviously injured for the moment, but he will make his return and make his way into that starting lineup over there at Memphis. Jaden Ivey at Detroit there, great guy for sneaking some good counting stats there. Solid from all his percentages, and yeah, can sneak his way into a few steals. Pods fighting with Moses Moody out there for his starting role. We thought he was pretty safe with that there, but the Butler Moody combo out there is just going incredibly well. They're loving their life out there. Sammy Hauser there is, I feel, a bit of a my guy for Pete there. I think Boston are going to try some things, and Sammy Hauser is obviously someone he's backing in for that. Jaden McDaniels is it's Jaden McDaniels. You know what you're buying. You're not buying anything special. You're not buying anything too wild there. That build's got a lot of flexibility throughout that. There's not loaded up at one position or another, so going really well. And then we see Moses Moody. So I would say one of either Brandon Pajemski or Moses Moody is going to be the one to pop off. And I think each manager will be hoping that they get their guy to be the one that pops off.
And you're really not
Um,
expending a lot of draft capital at this point in the draft. So I think that both those guys are worth 2 rounds ahead if they are the guy that gets selected as the starter. And even if it's a minute share, they're probably both 11th round guys.
yep. Yeah, I think you bang on there, mate. I am just making sure my IQ is all loaded up. I know you're going through making your pick at the moment here. Will be interesting to see if you're taking my guy, a flyer yet. Yeah, Sean George, mate, straight out of my queue. So I'm
Yeah.
big on
Yeah.
that pick there, mate.
I'm actually not that high on him. I just think that it's a little bit of a flyer, and the things that he does poorly, I'm not super worried about it at this stage. I always think with these really bad teams, and mate, Washington is one of these really bad teams. I do think with these really bad teams, there is opportunity. Whether it works out or not, look, it probably won't. But I am happy with having a sling at Keyshawn George, and yeah, I know Kingy. We've had him on the podcast a lot in the last couple of weeks, at least weekly, and I was listening to him on his on Dan Besbris's podcast the other day. Yeah, just super high on Keyshawn. So yeah, sometimes you just got to believe the hype, and yeah, the 11th round again, not spending too much draft capital, fine to take him.
Yeah.
But yeah, a Memphis starter, mate. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, getting a starter this deep is not so common. I say that because Aaron Gordon goes straight after him. But I think this is a pretty well-known starter out there. You're a big Memphis guy. I'm running this guy in Supercoach. I think there is upside for him with a lot of these guys that they're probably going to get options with. Jars struggles to stay on the court there. Jaren Jackson Jr. out injured, who's expected to return, which is all good and well. Zach Eady's out as well. They are going to be pretty depleted. I'm probably buying into a bit of an early run, and then if he can sort of prove himself in the early weeks, hopefully he's able to keep at least enough of that momentum to return his value that I got him with of not much draft capital. What's your thoughts being a big Memphis guy, mate?
I think that he'll start. I think that he will spend a lot of time on the floor, and I actually think him having his breakout season is one of the reasons that they were okay with trading Bain. I'm not sure he's got those counting stats. I think that it will be played through Jar a lot. I think Ty Jerome will get his when he's out there on high efficiencies, and I think Jaren Jackson Jr. and these guys will just kind of play the wing, but they will be out on the floor. I've never seen any injury concern or anything with Jalen so far in his short career. So yeah, if availability is the best ability, he's going to be out there on the floor playing a lot of minutes, and we are in the 130s at this stage. So yeah, I think that that's completely fine. As DeJounte goes out of my queue, takes through the last couple of picks, mate.
Yeah. So after Jalen Wells, we had Aaron Gordon, Josh Minnow, Isaiah Jackson as well, a projected starter. A few of these last starters are going off the board as well. Malik Monk, with the news of Russell Westbrook signing over there. I think some value is being destroyed to this guy, and seeing him go at the 11-12 after a lot of rumors and potential movement for this guy. He could have been a 7th or 8th round guy with the right things around him and turning him into the end of the 11th. Probably fair value, but what could be for this man is optimistic. Jabari Smith Jr., 6-man starter. Who knows out there? Dejounte Murray obviously picking up a nice stash there from an injury point of view. Chris Boucher could be the starter out of Boston. There's a lot of could be's going on here. Dennis Schroeder, part of that Sacramento Kings, who's going to do what at the point guard. They're paying him a lot of money. I went Zachary Arishache. I'm going to butcher that every time I try to say it. I needed 3 points, and I wanted someone who's power forward eligible, and he's gonna meet that for me. So happy to take that guy there. Do you want to talk us through your pick from and then on, mate?
Yeah, to be completely honest, Zachary Rissache and PJ Washington probably have pretty similar outlooks this year, despite Zach being a bit younger. Yeah, PJ will get the opportunity, especially if they decide to move Cooper Flagg to that guard, and maybe that is to get the best players out on the floor. And I think PJ is one of those. I think at this point in D'Lo's career, despite how high I was on him from a positional standpoint, look, PJ has been very good for the last couple years in Charlotte and now in Dallas. We see Stephon Castle go afterwards. Vez Missy, again, an awesome pick with Kevon Looney going down. Derek Queen not ready to start the year. And then we're starting to see some stashes. Of course, we saw DeJounte Murray. He was going to be a guy that I was looking to stash. And we see Kyrie Irving go there, which, again, not spending much capital. We have a couple of IR spots in this, so that's completely fine. Ace Bailey's going to get some shots up, and Neemias Queta, followed by Scoot Henderson. Anybody in those last 2 picks that you want to focus on, mate?
Yeah, I think with the couple of IR spots we've got going on in this league, Kyrie Irving is a great option there. Get him at the 12-9. You've only got 2 more picks after that. So a lot of the guys you probably were going to take anyway, you're probably going to pick up off waivers. I was hoping that he does live quite deep in the expert ranks here and then even ADPs. So I was hoping I could see him come back around. I was doubtful, but I was hoping. Ace Bailey balled out, but how much do we buy into this? Been a lot of rumors about just various different things of this guy, and I think it's, again, draft capital is a key thing you look at here. You're not using a lot of it, but I'm all right with that. Yeah, I think probably as we made our way around the turn, nothing too big and surprising there for me. We then seen Jeremy Grant, Bobby Portis, TJ McConnell. We'll still get a fair bit of run out there at Indiana. Buddy Hield, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Alex Caruso. We are all talking pretty well bench guys here. So I think pretty much everyone knows what they're buying with these guys, and you're buying a role. So is there anything there after you make your pick here, mate, that sort of says good, bad, or in between?
I mean, I don't think there's too many bad picks at 150. I think that all these guys are guys that are going to play. I'm really surprised with the TJ McConnell injury to see him off the board and not just on waivers. But look, even at 33, I wouldn't be completely surprised if, when he is healthy, he does play a lot of minutes at point guard. He had some real beautiful flashes in there in the finals. But yeah, look, Buddy Hield, Nickeil Alexander, Alex Caruso. I've went with Ayo Dosunmu. Look, a bit of a flyer for maybe starting at small forward for Chicago, but I just think that he's one of the guys that will pick up decent minutes in there at Chicago. And yeah, you've taken Q at what are we at? The early 150s, mate.
Yeah. Q proved himself back half of last year after making the move over to Philly. That he given the minutes, he's good. And obviously, we had some off-season surgery for Jared McCain. So obviously, Jared popped off to start the year, but obviously he then had further injury. So when Quentin Grimes come over, he balled out. There was 20 plus points per game for a while there. So I love the value I was getting with him there. Then we seen Wendell Carter Jr., DeAndre Hunter, Dylan Harper, uh, Colin Sexton, Bilal Koulibaly, Cam Whitmore, Chris Middleton. And I'm on the clock next. Is there anything there that really surprised you, mate, or are we guys just sort of filling out some stats here with some specialists?
Yeah, we're getting into the last round. Dylan Harper, usually you would see a number 2 pick go a lot earlier than this. But of course, there is a little bit of a logjam with Fox there. I really like Hunter, just didn't fit my build. He's been somebody I've been toying with for the last couple of rounds. Colin Sexton, he's shown flashes in the past with Bilal Koulibaly. And yeah, you start to look at your Whitmores and your Middletons and your Lonzos and even Jared McCain for yourself, mate. They are genuine flyers at the end of the draft, and that's probably the way that
Yeah.
that's the way that I like to do my last pick. Like McCain's injured, but at points at the start of last year, he was touted maybe the rookie of the year.
Yeah, I'm not a big handcuff sort of guy. I leave that to the guys over in the NFL to jump all over handcuffs. But I have Quentin Grimes. I got him with the 13th in the 13th round.
Do you just keep them under your bed, mate?
Pretty much, mate. Yeah, the fluffy ones are the personal favorite, but whatever you say. I got Q, and then I wanted to sort of go with the handcuffs here, and I'll get Jared McCain. Well, they will work out as Jared returns on which one of those two is going to end up being part of that starting unit. I would only expect probably one of the two of them to be. One of them is going to be on the bench, and I'll work out which of the two I want to have as the value. So that just allows me to pick the right guy and not miss him coming off waivers.
Yeah, and I've again, like honestly, just swinging for the fences a bit with your Yemen. I mean, completely fine starting point guard for Brooklyn. If I'm surprised he hasn't gone in a lot of drafts that I've been looking at. I actually took him off waivers in another draft the other day because I really struggle to find point guards really late in drafts outside of Lonzo, which I took the other day. But yeah, look, Yemen should be completely fine, and if he's bad, I just drop him. Surely there's 28 minutes a night for a starting point guard in Brooklyn.
There is. The hard question is which one is going to be the starting point guard. And I think your Yemen's probably the guy. If I had to pick, I'd be picking. But I think the Nets are going to trial a lot of things, and if your is the guy, I'd be all happy for that there. After that, we went Musa Diabate, Lou Dort, Ty Jerome, Keon Ellis, Grayson Allen, and I don't have the last pick on my end either, mate. But I know draft is showing us
Yeah, that's all good. I won't get too hung up on Scottie Pippen Jr. getting taken with the last pick. Ty Jerome was another guy that was on my board, but mate, take us through your team. How are you feeling at this point?
I'm feeling pretty good, mate. Pretty good. So I went Trae Young into Donovan Mitchell, paired him with Pascal Siakam, Brandon Miller, Tyler Hero is a bit of a stash if doesn't make it back for the start of the season. Zach LaVine, Emmanuel Quickly, took a fair few point guards there, went into Santi Aldama, Devin Vassell, RJ Barrett is pretty good value to me at the 10-5, Jalen Wells, Zachary Richache, Quentin Grimes, and Jared McCain as a little bit of a late handcuff. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, mate.
I'll go through my team. Just have a bit of a look through and see if there's another team that you pick that you want to highlight, mate. But I, the coach of Mattrix Reloaded, selected Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley with the second pick, Jamal Murray and Jimmy Butler the third, into Kobe White and Jakob Poeltl. We've got Donovan Clingan, Christian Brown, John Collins, my guy through and through, apparently. Kevin Porter Jr., Keyshawn George, PJ Washington, into Ayo Desumnu and your Yemen with my last couple, or Yemen with my last couple of picks there. Anybody that you're super worried about, or do I just hand you my money now, mate?
You can hand me your money now, mate. I take early payments. There's no stress about that. I've got this league wrapped up. These guys are just here to hang out and have fun. If I didn't talk a bit of smack at the start, then what am I really here for? We're playing for keeps here. I've got it wrapped up. So I think everybody here will be pretty happy with the teams they've picked. I think if there's one that I'm actually really high on personally, I wanted to do the build, but the pick 8 didn't give me the ability to. It is Mythical Magic with pick 6, who started with Anthony Davis, went into Amen Thompson, Zion, Walker Kessler, who's probably a bit higher, could have got him a bit later, but he fits the build so well. Asar Thompson, Rudy Gobert, Andrew Nemhard, Josh Hart, Draymond Green, Herb Jones, Mitchell Robinson, Stephon Castle, Alex Caruso, and Musa Diabate. There's a few guys there that you picked that probably didn't fit the build, but other than that, most of that is an elite defensive build. I am not looking forward to going up against that.
And
So-
yeah, I wanted to pick better than Lego. It's probably pretty easy to select when you can pick anybody with the first pick with Wemby. But then he went into Josh Giddey and Derek White, into Kawhi Leonard, which honestly just seems like such an easy risk to take once you're getting into the back end of the fourth. You've got Ja Morant, again, a risky guy, but when you're taking risks, you want that elite upside, and he has it with Kawhi Leonard and Ja Morant, Bazelis, Cam Thomas, Reed Shepherd, CJ McCollum. His first sort of injured guy, I suppose reported injured guy, Kawhi Leonard and Ja Morant always seem to be injured, is Zach Edey. And then you've got Jaden Ivey into Scoot Henderson, into Jeremy Grant, into Scottie Pippen Jr. Maybe he is a bit of a Grizzlies fan, but yeah, and maybe that's why I like it so much too. But yeah, I just think that the picks really took he took such big risks, but at the right spots where I would have taken those risks, which is probably why I appreciate his team so much.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's got a lot of guys at really good value. I'm a big fan of someone like a Cam Thomas at the 7-1, CJ at the 9-1's always hard to pass up. Jaden Ivey, the 11-1. That's really, really good. There's just a lot of good value there. Matas Buzelis at the 6-12. There is upside for this guy to be better than that, but I think that's probably the fair value for him. I'm a big fan of that. So I think we're actually seeing here a lot of guys going at pretty fair value, which meant that the builds were actually pretty even. I don't see anybody really beating me this year. I'm going to beat everybody else, and everyone else is going to go at 500 for the rest of the year. So best of luck, everybody, with that.
Nah, mate. Fun again. Yeah, great to put together a real draft, and appreciated the way that we probably had to find a way to not snipe each other and give ourselves a bit of time to talk while also doing a draft. It's pretty hard to podcast, and when you're talking real money on the line, of course we're definitely trying to win. And yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I hope everybody has some good drafts over the weekend. Of course, this is probably the last weekend people will draft unless you're drafting a week in. We have all our rankings in our Patreon, and we've been writing articles honestly nearly every day at the moment, whether they be Supercoach related or non-cat related. There has been the odd points league one too, but when you of course pay for our Patreon, you get into our WhatsApp and you get straight into our DMs so that we can help you build your teams and beat your mates.
Exactly. Between all of us, there's you, me, Horse, Braino, Squiddy's kicking around, there's Mally. There is a lot of us throughout there, and at almost pretty much any point in time, at least one of us is available to help you out. So if you're wondering who you should go or who's high on or what build to go with at what pick, we're always here to help. So feel free to jump in the WhatsApp, jump in the Patreon, and I'm looking for a really good season to talk with you guys and help you guys out and hopefully have you win your leagues.
Look, all right, mate. I'm approaching 2 hours of podcast tonight, so I need to hit the sack. I know it's 11 o'clock where you are as well. Weirdly,
Sure
in the
is,
same
mate.
country, there's 3 different time zones, so that's great for Australia. Appreciate you all. Thanks for everybody that popped in, and you've listened to a Ball Logic podcast. Cheerio.
You guys.